Hello guys, Alex Fedotoff here, and today we have one of our students, Andrey. Andrey is one of our students, amazing guy, and he just scaled from zero to $150,000 per month with one product, with one funnel, and we'll basically just dive in and dissect how exactly he did it. And I'm very excited for you, man. I'm very happy to.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's all because of you, of your course. Like this would just never happen if it wasn't for you. So because I had no other experience
you put in the work.
before.
Like, I mean, how many people have access? You know, we give these resources, right? But how many people actually take advantage of it? You know, so that's.
I mean, some people do for sure. Like, you know, I see some, like, you know, maybe a few people who are doing good numbers. I know people who do like, you know, 40,000 every day. Like there's this guy called, I think, Nate Sparks. He does like 45K every day. And I'm just not there yet, but I'm just, you know, it'll take time, but I think it should be soon.
Yeah, like Nate, he's a very interesting guy. Like he was struggling with his business, and then, you know, he also joined the program, and then he was like complaining, hey, you know, no one is helping me, and like, oh, it's like I want, like, I don't know, like, what, like maybe someone like take me by the hand and, like, you know. And like, I mean, you have the community of like high performing people. You have the training. Like, what do you want, you know, from me?
You have so many videos too. Like, you know, I watch your videos like so much, like every single day. I watch so many videos, like, you know, a few times even, like, you know, a few videos I watch, like, you know, maybe 5-6 times just to take some notes, like, you know, it is super helpful, like super helpful.
I don't want this
to make a big difference.
I don't want this to be about the program, you know, because I mean it's about you, man, and it's you know, I want to like kind of like figure out like what have you done that, you know, other people that are watching can take, you know, the insights that they
I think funnels for sure. I mean, that is a massive advantage. I mean, you have a very big margin, like obviously selling something more of like, you know, a high ticket item. That is a big deal. So my AOV is about $150. So obviously I have a big margin, and, you know, that definitely helps out because my CPMs are very, very high. They're like anywhere between $35 to $50. So obviously, you know, my stuff, I have to have a very big margin, and that makes a huge deal, obviously, you know, and having the item that actually does sell. Like it has to be a validated item, because if it just doesn't sell, it makes no sense to even sell it, right? So obviously it has to sell. And you have to have a very good margin, and that's what, you know, it definitely makes sense that way. And obviously, you know, on the Shopify, I wasn't making money there. I was like, you know, I think on some day I would make like, you know, a 5% profit, maybe. Like it was not very good. I wasn't making that much money, and I probably wouldn't be able to even, you know, maybe do like, you know, a very big numbers with it, because it just wasn't make sense from me. Maybe in my case, the store was not very good. Obviously, you know, a lot of people are using Shopify, but in my case, I just didn't make sense. The conversion rate it wasn't good. It was like 1.5%, like something like that.
Wow.
So it didn't work for me. But on the funnels, that it started working from the day one. Like it didn't take any time to work, and I saw, man, wow, that is a huge difference. So I took another CBO, and everything was exactly the same, just a different lender, and that done a double in entire sales. So a double, just because I switched.
So basically, you've done it that, and I think that's applicable to people who do like $500 a day, or people who do like 10,000.
I was doing $250 a day at that time. Like I wasn't even doing $500 a day. I had my CBO. It had like, you know, a few ad sets. It was my best interest, right? And everything was exactly the same. The budget was like, you know, at $250, and I was like, okay, let me see if I can make if it can be better if I get a new lender. And the same, everything exact copy, but I have a different lender, and that done twice as much in sales.
So you basically have like one campaign leading to your standard Shopify website, one campaign leading to the like ROAS is just like double.
It was a massive difference. It was crazy difference from day one.
And I mean, that's like, you know, everyone who has like a proven validated product, right? I think they should use funnels, right? Like in some capacity.
Or maybe even if that is too much, maybe they could use like, you know, a Zipify. That's also very good. Like you have this, you know, for these blocks, like, you know, a bundle deals. I think that will definitely be like, you know, a little bit better. But in my case, I didn't even be using. I have never used that stuff. I just went straight to the funnels. Obviously, right? It's not the most ideal software. It has issues. Like on the funnels, it takes a very long time to set that kind of stuff up. On the back end, over there, it's almost completely non-existent. Like for the emails, it takes a long time to set all that stuff up. Like you have to buy these apps. They'll be sending the emails from the funnels to your other list, into the Klaviyo, for example, right? You have to have these apps. They are not that cheap. So the funnels itself is not it's not that cheap. It's like $200 and extra, it's $297. So it's like $300 every single month. Also with some extra apps, I pay like $600-700 in just all the setup fees. So obviously it is not cheap. I mean, obviously it's not cheap. And it takes time to set that kind of stuff up. It took me a few nights. Like I was staying up entire night just working on the back end. Like this email isn't sending here. Like this doesn't work. This app doesn't work. It just took me it takes time. So there's there's some barrier to entry there, a little bit for that. But it's definitely better. A checkout system, especially that part. A checkout on the Shopify, it is so freaking long. It is a 4-page checkout. It doesn't look the same way. It's just not as effective as the checkout on the funnels. And I think that makes a huge difference. So you see, in my case, I sell a high ticket stuff, and it is $150 overall, right? And I have 4% conversion rate. 4% conversion rate. So obviously the funnels is absolutely, there is no comparison. It's day and night difference.
So massive difference. By the way, guys, I can share the template with you, the template for the funnel that you could utilize. Just if you comment funnel in the comments, I can copy. I mean, obviously there's more to it, but the copy, you can copy the template, you can adjust it to your product and can test it out so you can improve your margins. And
that's what I have done. That's exactly what I've done. I just had that funnel from you, and I just put my I just changed a few pictures, a few text, obviously, right? And that's it. I didn't really do much in terms of the actual funnel, but on the back end, all these apps that took a long time to set up. The Funnelish app, for example, the app trends, the Funnelish, the Zapier. So you have to have all this stuff set up. And obviously, I reached out to I think it is your guy, Andrey Danita. Andrey, he's working with the funnels, and we reached out, and he always helped me out big time because it's not very it's not user friendly. It takes time to set up, but it is definitely worth it, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing this kind of numbers right now. It would be much harder for me. I wouldn't have this sort of big margin. I mean, I would have the same margin, but it wouldn't be working in the same way. It wouldn't be as profitable. And obviously that is a big difference. And not a whole lot of the people actually are using funnels. You just look in a totally different way from all these other people. They're all in, so you're in a totally different universe. You have crazy margin, you can just bid high, you will win all these auctions and you'll make money because you're having this huge advantage over everyone else who can maybe only spend $20 to get only one customer. I can spend even up to $100 to get one customer and I will still make money. So that is a massive advantage in the marketplace. If you can spend the most money to get it'll just give you massive advantage over everyone else because you have a huge margin. And even if your ads are just not the best ads in the, you'll still probably make money because you're just funnel. It is converting so well, and that makes insane difference, obviously.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So happy. So what you're doing right now, $10,000 a day?
Yes. But obviously, I'm now trying. If I have to buy, a few more BMs because I want to scale up, more some more horizontally. I don't want to spend all money under one ad account. It is just super risky. I don't want to do that. So obviously, I probably could spend even more money. I think I could just do 15 to maybe maybe even higher right now. But I don't, I just don't want to do that. I want to scale with a few more ad accounts. I have some already that are already done. I just have to just set them up. But I want to scale with more ad accounts. I think in one of your videos you had up to 15 different ad accounts. That's obviously it is much safer idea. Obviously, that's how it's supposed to be done. I haven't done that yet, but it should be ready within a few more days. So I should try to just maybe like
That's
that way.
It's okay. So you've taken the funnel template, guys. You comment funnel below in the
Yes,
comment.
adapted into your item. I adapted it.
Okay.
So yeah, to best item I'm selling.
In terms of like that like adaptation, like because obviously the copy, right? Like on the on the funnel, like it's also like very important elements, right? Like how did you get that like copy, like the text?
I focus it on not on the features, but like, hey, this item will like it will be helpful for this. You'll be like it will solve this issue, and also for the angle. So you'll save time and you'll save some money. So that is the angle that I have. Is that you'll be saving time and money, and it'll help you solve this issue, this issue, this issue. So I didn't really focus much on the on the features. I focused on the benefits. That is what I kind of done, like, for the emphasis, like on the benefits.
So you would have written like all of the like copy, all of the text yourself?
Yes, I have it fixed up, but it is super similar to what I think you also had a very, so you'll save some, like, so you'll save some, like, it'll be, a time saving angle, like, a money saving angle. So it is very similar to what you had, but obviously, a few different words but it's almost the same message. Like this is the same angle, the same message. That's how I have done it. Like just the main like emphasis on that, and obviously I use some new pictures, a few more UGCs, like obviously that'll definitely help. I mean, that's what I've done, but it does convert extremely well. Obviously, a PayPal, I think that also has like, it is super, if I didn't have that, like, as my, a secondary like option, probably I wouldn't be having as high of the conversion rate. So the, having, a PayPal, obviously, that does help a lot, because otherwise it wouldn't be probably as profitable. I know some people who don't have it because obviously, a PayPal, it's not the best, a merchant.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can place, like a few holds. So luckily I don't have that. Like I have no issues with that for now. So that is, that is super helpful, because otherwise I probably wouldn't be as profitable. Obviously for the merchants too, that is probably a big feature. A Facebook section, like, just to build some extra, a social proof. I feel like that's also important. I have this code that just shows, for the comment section on the same page. Like that's also very like important. I have that on the checkout as well. So not only on the first page, but also at the checkout, I have that section as well. A Facebook, so they say, hey, I received this, I like this, hey, it definitely works, like this kind of stuff. It builds some trust. So that is definitely good if you build some, if you build some trust.
That's awesome. So what bottlenecks have you faced, like in this, like
merchants is a complete nightmare, because obviously on the Shopify, I didn't have that issue, because I was just using, for the in-house, for Shopify payments. The Shopify payments, I had zero issues with them.
Payments is also like, it's like Shopify payments, like it's good until it's good, but then like
until some volume probably.
Yeah, then it's like at some point they can just like, hey, we don't like your business, like fuck off, right? Like, or like we put a reserve. Like it's the same, it's like once you start like doing bigger numbers, like it also becomes like risky.
Oh yeah, merchants are a whole new nightmare. That's what I've been through. That's a complete nightmare, because obviously when I had to use for the funnels, I had to find my own merchant, because I wasn't able to use a Shopify payments, because you're on a completely new platform. So that is for sure a huge bottleneck, especially if you like, if you do some numbers, like, if you do over 5K, like 5, 6, 10,000 per day, that is a high risk environment. Like you have a long shipping times, like you're shipping from this, like, with the agent from the China, maybe, a 2-week shipping time. That is a high risk business, and you need to have a very good merchant for that, because a Stripe, they just didn't work with me. I actually had them for like only if maybe a few days, and they told me that like I'm just banned there. Obviously I had even more issues with that, and fortunately I did finally fix it, but it's not an easy issue to solve. And especially if you're like, a brand new business, and you say, hey, so I want to do like, a 6 figures every single month, and I'm a dropshipping business. That is a bad, like, they don't like that kind of thing. Good luck. Exactly. So it is a very difficult issue to solve. that is a difficult issue. You're gonna have some, a fixed reserve, like there could be, a variable reserve. There could be issues like, it's not that easy. And sometimes that's probably the biggest bottleneck. I mean, but I fixed it so far. So far I'm good with that. But it was definitely a long process, and it was a complete nightmare process, especially in my case, because I had some issues with the match list issues. That makes it even more challenging to find some merchant. But I have fixed that issue, and now it's all, it is fixed. But it was a very uphill battle. So because, a Stripe, let's say, right? So you do like, 15,000 per day, and then one day you wake up and then they say, hey, so we're shutting down your entire account, and then all these funds will be on hold for like, if like, a six, like, for the extra 6 months. That's a complete disaster, because that completely messes up your entire cash flow, everything. Like, what if you don't even have this, because you need to pay for the ads, for the shipping, like for the VAs. Like, how? Like, this makes no sense. Like, you cannot afford this kind of stuff, and you need to have a very fast deposits, because if you have like, a 7-day payout window, that's a complete nightmare, because if you do like, 10,000 every single day, that's 70,000 bucks entire week. That's completely stuck there. And what if they ban your account? You have like 50, 60K that's stuck, and that will mess you up. So that is a big deal. You don't want to have like, a very long payout windows. You want to have ideally, for the next day deposits. That's what I have. I have next day deposits. I have no holds. So that is very, very important to scale up, because otherwise I probably wouldn't be able to scale up. It would be much more difficult, because you have to have, some extra savings, right? Like, you need to, this, I mean, it's difficult issue. Okay, on the back end, all the cash flow, like, that is a huge deal. You pay for the ads every single day, like, every 900 bucks. You pay for for the shipping every single day. So on the back end, that is probably the big bottleneck. And for a lot of people, it's not just me, but obviously when you try to scale up, that becomes an even bigger issue. Like, if you only do like, a few $100, like, every single day, most likely you won't have any issues with, like, but if you do like, 5, 6, 10, 20, like, that will big, like, a huge deal, like, on the back end, all the Stripe issues. I know you had, a very similar issue as well, like, as well. The Stripe doesn't really like, that kind of, super hard scaling. Like,
I mean, we've had so many merchant like accounts like shut down. So I mean, but it's like, I think it's just part of the business,
They're more sensitive now. I was told, like, after the COVID hit, they're actually more sensitive now than ever before, and they're not as easy now to deal with as they were before. So that's what, because it's not an easy task. But because there are all kinds of different merchants. They're like, a high risk merchant. They have, maybe they're asking for like, a 6% fee. Like, which is obviously insane. Like, if you pay 6% for a transaction, like, that's like, I mean, like 7% transaction. That's crazy. I mean, you don't want that.
So that's what you use right now, or you found
some? No, hell no. No. I have actual merchant. It's like a 2.9, which isn't bad. A 2.9% fee.
The same as Stripe, pretty much, right?
I think so. I don't even remember what I had with Stripe. I mean, I only used them for like, a few days before they told me to hit the road. So I didn't use them at all, Stripe. I mean, they do no underwriting. You see, they don't do the, like, and that's why, you can just wake up one day and then entire account is completely shut down. And it's just impossible to run business this way, when you can just be shut down at any moment. Like, it just completely messes you up. So you don't want that issue. I mean, Stripe, a small volume probably is fine. I don't think I have any issues with that.
And so how do you structure your ads, like, in terms of because I know, right, like from I've seen your account, it's very simple and I like that. So I want you to share basically how you structure everything, because that will give like a perspective to a lot of people in terms of how they could structure it. So a lot of people would just make it too complex, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just make it super simple, like, and I try to push a much, a higher budget. Obviously, in my case, a CBO is definitely working. Now, there's some ad accounts where a CBO just is not working. So it just depends. Like, if for some people the CBO doesn't make sense. For me, it does make sense, a high budget CBO, and only a few interests. That's it. I don't push like, the 5, 10, 20 interests. No way. A few winning interests, right? And obviously obviously that under a very high budget, and I don't really touch it much. Like, I don't like to touch my stuff a lot. Like, just if it's making money, like, it just gets better a little bit. Like, now it's actually doing much better than it just did like a week ago. So I think like over time it does become better, and not shutting it off way like super early. So sometimes I'll have this issue where you just spend $100 and I say, hey, so like I have no sales, and then hey, it's bad, so I mean I'll be shutting it off. But no, you have to give it some time and make it super simple. Like if just like a few ad sets, no more than 5, definitely no more than 5 ad sets. Make it super simple and much more like in a higher budget, like 1,000 per day, 1,250 per day, in just that range, and just have like a few of them, like maybe like 4 or 5 of them, and it should be good. That is not the most difficult. I mean, it's obviously it does matter, because for the ads, like you have to keep to keep making some new ads, right? Like maybe every I make new ads pretty much every single 5 days pretty much. So I try to make some more ads, because that's when I have for the cheaper the CPMs. So I can notice that kind of trend. So, but the actual setup is super simple. It's like the most simple setup probably that you can even have. Like it's just a single campaign, and you have maybe like up to the 5 interests, and a very high budget, and that's it. Like there's nothing to it. Like it's zero targeting, obviously, right? That is super helpful. So just for the so for the it's very consistent, because a zero targeting, when there's just for the age, the gender, and the country, that's it. That is for me the best. At a very high budget, it does extremely well. But obviously you have to have some already data for that kind of stuff, and it also probably depends on on the item itself. If it's mass appeal item, it's obviously it will work well. If it's not very mass appeal, maybe it won't be like as good. But zero targeting is definitely for me one of the best ones. And for the lookalikes too, like 1% lookalike, they I have those too. Very simple structure, a few more assets, like up to 5, a very high budget. That's it.
Hey guys, people have been asking me how we scale to multiple 6 figures or even 7 figures per month without getting shut down on Facebook. And we have a very sophisticated solution for this that I want to share with you, but it's just like too valuable to give away for free. So if you guys want this solution, just book a call with one of my team members and we'll show you exactly what it is and how it works, and we'll see if that's a good fit for you and for your business. So just book a call with my team member. We'll share it with you so you can scale your business to multiple 6 figures or even 7 figures per month without getting shut down on Facebook, without having inconsistency, and with high profitability. So just book a call with my team and I'll see you there. This is awesome. And so do you introduce any like new creatives, or you pretty much like roll with the same ones?
I do make new creatives pretty much every 5 days. I try to make new ads, because my CPMs are kind of high. So I try to make new ads with exactly the same campaign. It's exactly the same, just have to make some a few more ads, and that's where I usually see much better performance.
Do ads inside
duplicate. I don't like to do that. No, I don't want to mess that up. I just make a duplicate of that same of the same scale. I don't touch I don't touch the actual if it's making money, I don't want to touch it, because
that's awesome, man. Do you do like broad targeting? A lot of the broad targeting?
Yeah. Just the age, the gender, and the country. Is the best for me.
This is awesome.
It's the most consistent one. It's definitely the most consistent.
So with new business managers, right? Like a new ad accounts that you have like started to introduce, have you already started like advertising on them or not yet?
Well, only for the safe ads. So I have some safe ads going. I usually like to spend about $150 on the new BM, just to get a spend limit up and just to build some trust. But just for safe ads, like a few cats, dogs, stuff like that.
Cool, man. So what was like the main kind of like mind shift for you specifically, because you've done drop shipping before, you've done like, different things before. So what was the main thing that
no drop shipping? No, I didn't do drop shipping before. I've only done never. This is my first month pretty much. I did a small test over the summer with but it didn't work out on the Pinterest. So I actually never used Facebook at all. This is pretty much my only month ever using Facebook.
Wow,
I have no experience. I never used Facebook before.
That's impressive.
On the Pinterest, it didn't work out for me. I was there for probably like a week or so, and I wasn't doing good there. But then I had almost the 6 months break, and only now I've done the Facebook. But I've never done Facebook before ever. So this is my first month.
I had a conversation with Brandon. Brandon, right? Like
of course, a Pinterest guy.
He made his work with Pinterest, right? Also with funnels. He's done like Yeah, he's done like 500,000 in like 4 months, which is okay. You actually take that and put that into, into action. I'm very, very proud of you guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So what would be your kind of like, what have been your main like lessons? Like, I mean, it's your journey, right? Like in terms of like but like what have been your major lessons so far?
That a high ticket is pretty much the most important thing, and having a very good margin, because for the ads are, I mean, they are not, I mean, they are kind of expensive, so you have to have some margin to make sense. But I mean, because there's so many people who don't have a very good margin, so they aren't able to spend that much money on the ads because they don't have, a very good margin. So a high ticket product for sure, a good funnel, absolutely, a good product. I mean, you have to make sure that the item actually does sell, because if it doesn't sell, what is even the point, right? So it has to be like, in a very high demand, and it has to be already, if it's been already sold before you. Like, I think my item, it's been sold before me like a million times before. I mean, I'm not the first guy who's selling it. It's been sold before for like at least maybe a few years now. So it's really nothing new. It's just the same item, but it's being sold in a different way. It's being sold with a funnel system, and that is a huge deal. Because there's so many people who spend like, for the 5 months just saying, hey, this item, I'll do this item, this item, this item, and then absolutely nothing works. Like, that's not how I really think about it. Like, I just take something that has already been sold before me in a big amount. So that gives me, some like extra validation, that the item actually does sell well. So all I have to do is just to get the funnel, and then it will be better because I have some more chances that way.
So you wouldn't worry, for example, a lot of people worry like, hey, this product is like saturated, for example, right?
No, my item is super saturated. There are a lot of people who are selling it, but they don't sell it as well in the same way, because they are using just, a Shopify store, which you can make it work for sure. I mean, there's no question about that, but it is much harder. It is much harder because it just doesn't work the same way. The conversion rate isn't there. The upsell take rate isn't there. It's much, much harder to do it that way.
So what's your upsell ratio right now?
I would say about 25%. So people definitely do take upsells a lot.
25% of people take upsells?
Yes. I upsell everything. I upsell for the faster shipping. So that gives me like an extra money. So people like to wait, people want to get the stuff, it's much sooner. So a fast shipping upsell, I think, is the best, is easiest way to make like some extra money. And obviously it is the same, like, maybe the same thing, but like at maybe, so like I sell item at $120. So I just give them another item for $74.95. So people like that option. So just bundles, but people take it a lot. I mean, the upsell rate is really, really good, especially for the extra faster shipping. That one, I think, is the best upsell ever. I mean, it just almost everybody takes it. Like,
how much do you charge for it?
So $9.99.
$9.99.
Yeah, extra $10.
Wow, and people buy it.
A lot. I mean, that one probably has even more take rate. I mean, people really, really like that. I mean, the faster shipping, it is the best. It's just the way it looks. Like, it doesn't look the same way if you do it on the Shopify. It looks, it just looks more better. Like if it's on the funnel, it's like, for the order bump, right? Like you have, X order bump, and people take it a lot. Like the upsell take rate is insane. The conversion rate is insane.
The order bump at like $9.99 that you sell. $9.99.
Exactly.
That's wow. And people, that's
extra money for shipping. Yeah. So I mean, they spend $120. They might, just spend some more. I mean, a lot of people buy bundles. I mean, it is good. I mean, as far as that, I mean, it's definitely, very profitable, and I wouldn't be able to do it on the Shopify. It will be much more difficult because it just doesn't work the same way.
That's awesome, man. So do you use any like email at this point, or like?
Yeah, the Klaviyo app, of course. I have some backend. I use the Klaviyo. It's about extra 5%. So I have to spend some like extra time with it because it's not the best, but I have extra 5, maybe, it's just coming from the email. So I have to work on this a little bit, but 5 to 6 extra, of my entire sales coming from the backend, coming from the email. I don't have the SMS marketing just yet, but I'll have to set up that as well. It'll probably be even more helpful. But yeah, I send emails to my Klaviyo app, so I have the backend for that.
That's awesome. And so what do you plan to do like from there? Like you want to expand with more products, you want to have more funnels, or
for sure.
or you want to like expand this product as much as possible? What's
Yeah, I want to scale this item some more. I think it definitely has some like extra more room. I think I could do easily 15 to 20,000 every single day with it. I think it has a very big market. And obviously, yes, for sure, I want to start some, some extra funnels. I mean, because only one item, I mean, that's not enough. I mean, probably, a few more funnels for sure. But it'll take time, but I'm just getting there. I've been in a totally different business for the last 2 years. So I actually finished my school here. It's been 2018, and I couldn't find a good job. I couldn't find a job.
College or high school?
Yeah, no. Like, I went to school here. Like, I went here for the 6 years. I was trying to become, a petroleum engineer. So like, for the oil engineering, and I couldn't find any good jobs. I mean, there were no jobs, and I started my own business in that, for the same year, and I was making some shirts. I made some money there. Okay, I mean, then I sold some masks too, but then it just wasn't, it wasn't bad. I was probably making 150 to a quarter mil in total. But I didn't like that business too much because I was doing like everything myself. So I was making the items, I was packing them, I was shipping them, I was doing the customer service myself. It was like completely a one-man army, like one person army. I was working like 18-hour days. Obviously, it was just insanity. The Q4, I was just packing so many shipments, like hundreds and hundreds of orders, like all these items, the sweatshirts, the shirts, the hoodies.
That wasn't Facebook, right? Like that wasn't.
No, it was on the Etsy. I never used Facebook ever before. I have zero experience with it. Up like only like a single month of experience with that. So I have zero experience at all.
That's good that you learned from us, because otherwise you would learn from you would have to untrain yourself. You'd learn from their own source, and then you'd have to unlearn it.
Yeah, there's so much information that just isn't good. Like online, there's like all these people making all these videos. Like some people, they have some fancy cars, fancy houses. They say, hey, hi, I saw this course. Yeah, I mean, there's so many fake gurus these days. Like, it's just insane. So I'm very happy that I found the actual deal, like the real deal.
So awesome. I'm so happy for this. Okay, so you've done the Etsy, right? Like, I mean, Etsy is still like during Q4, you can still do Etsy, right? Like, I mean, there's like, it's kind of like goes in demand automatically, right? Like on Q4.
I never ran ads pretty much. It was just like in-house, like it's all like in-house traffic. So they have their own traffic. It's like, it's like for the Amazon.
Traffic.
Organic traffic, yeah, exactly. It's 100% organic traffic. There are really not much ads. So they have this kind of features called, sponsored listings. But it's like super basic. It's really nothing like the Facebook ads. It's like completely basic. You just set the budget and that's it. Like there's no targeting, there's no nothing. Yeah, I use it sometimes. On the Q4, obviously, you have this like a massive spike. So I mean the Q4, but again, it's not scalable. Like on Etsy, I was working like 18-hour days. Also, and it was not scalable at all because I was just one single person. And obviously, right, I could just hire some like extra people, right? I could have gotten like a fancy equipment, a big warehouse, like all these people. But I was like, man, that's so much work. There's so many people work. Like I just didn't want to go that route because that was just not something that like I want to do. Like that just adds like so much more hassle to your life. Like there's so much more issues that can do. Like if you have like 15 people working for you in the same warehouse, like crazy, fancy, expensive like equipment. And I was like, man, I don't want to go that route. It's just way too much. I don't know this business that well. Like, what if something happens? Like, I'll have this crazy equipment because, that stuff that you like, it's not very cheap. I mean, you just finance it. It's like, I mean, $100,000 printer. Like, it's crazy, and you finance it for like a very long time. And the interest rates there are like crazy. They're like 50% interest rate, like insane percentages rate. Like. It's just not very good.
To finance a piece of equipment, like they have so high interest rates?
Insane percentages, exactly. So my credit score is like super high, but they charge crazy rates.
Wow. I mean, generally,
because they don't go to the bank.
Rates right now are like low, right? Like generally.
Yeah, but when you buy equipment like that, it is a different story. It's more of like, a commercial kind of stuff, and it's very expensive. It's like from 38% up to like 50% interest rate. So it's insane deal. I was like, man, that is so stupid. I'm not going to do that because like, even though I probably would be able to make money with it, it just doesn't worth it. It's just a huge hassle. hassle. I have to get a warehouse to sign the lease contract. I have to hire all these people. Like, it's just not what I want to do. Like, it just adds so much more stress to your life. And I'm like, no, I have enough stress without this stuff. And, so we're from the countries, like, we don't like to finance stuff, so you're from Ukraine, I'm from Ukraine. We don't want to finance anything because we just pay with the cash, right? But here they all finance everything possible. So I just don't want to go that route, even though I would be able to qualify for that, but I don't want to finance anything. I just a hassle. And, here they all do it. Like, all business owners, they have this, insane loans. Like, they make payments every single month. I don't want that. I'm not cut from that cloth. We're from a different mentality. We're from different countries.
Same here. I'm missing on some opportunities because of that, for sure. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you want to do something like very like big, right? Like, that's utilizing like loans, credit lines, resources, like massive, right? But I the same as you, I've learned to operate my business like profitable, like ideally from fucking day one, and then just like
savings
investing. So it's like, I don't owe anyone fucking shit, So
Exactly.
I mean, it's good and bad. I think it's good and bad. It limits, our business could have been like 9 figures per year, like instead of 8 figures, if we would have utility. But I think it's good and bad, like with everything, I guess, right?
I mean, in the personal life, I would suggest it. Like, it's just people go out, they buy, $100,000 car, then like, in 1 year, that car isn't even worth that. It's worth
no.
It's worth like $40,000. So you lost like $60,000 in the depreciation, and you're like upside down, it's a negative equity. Like, it's just a nightmare. Like,
So you studied like 6 years for like petroleum engineering?
Yes. I was actually one of the best people here. Like, I was one of the best, but I couldn't find any jobs because you see, at that time,
so you were like one of the like top graduates in that like
yes.
Fuck.
I used to work before in the industry, like, but then in 18, it was not a very good job market. Like, back then, the oil prices were just super low. They were like $50-$40, I think. And the job market just was complete trash. And I sent my stuff to like 50 different companies, and I couldn't get a single interview. So I actually never had a single interview in my entire life.
Let me just like fucking make it clear. So 6 years, how much it cost you to study?
Well, you see, I was playing for the chess team, so it was not very expensive for me. But if I wasn't doing that,
you got the scholarship.
Exactly. That is a massive help, because obviously here, it's like $50K a year. So if you study for 6 years, it would have been like $250,000. So obviously education here is insanely expensive. It is now.
So imagine also, so imagine you would have paid like $300,000. You would have paid like $250,000-$300,000, and you wouldn't even get like a fucking job.
Not even no interview even.
Fuck you, man. That's so.
School is bad here.
How stupid is that? How fucking stupid is that system?
It's completely stupid. Now, I'm super lucky that, in my case, like, I don't owe any money to anybody, but I know so many people who have, all these insane loans, like, student loans. They have 100,000 and it's just crazy. Like, it's just bad because they spent 6 figures entire school, and they have no job. They go work for like, $15 every hour. Like, it's awful. I mean, a school system just sucks. I mean, it's just not in like, it just makes no sense financially. Like, I was super lucky in that regard that I didn't spend money, but there are people who spend a lot and they do regret it. I mean, I know a lot of people who, have some big buyer remorse here.
Buyer remorse.
They have buyer remorse here.
But that you cannot default. Like, it's like, I think a student loan is one of those things that you gotta fucking.
You can never get it. Even if you file for entire default, like in a bankruptcy, they still stay with you until you die. So it's for your entire life. So imagine like, 18-year-old kid and getting 6 figures of loans. And like, it's just insanity. Like, it's insanity. And even in my case, like in engineering, but there are people who go out and get like, a social science degree, which obviously has zero application in anywhere, like, a psychology degree, a social science degree, a women's studies degree, a history degree.
You know what? So I'm from Ukraine. I mean, you're from Ukraine. What year did you move to United States?
2012.
2012. Okay, so not long ago. So because I saw that like it's only in Ukraine, the education is useless, right? But here as well, right? Like some of the specialties, I mean, you need like, we need doctors, right? Like we don't need like too many lawyers. Like there's fucking too many lawyers already. But like doctors, we need for sure. And you need to study, right? Like you need some practical experience, theoretical experience. Probably we need that. They're not necessary. They're like useless pretty much.
Most majors are absolutely useless, and so now it's even more expensive now. So than back in 2000, like in 11 and 12, it used to be like 18,000 every year. So it was not like as expensive. But now like 15, 16, like especially it's like super sky high. Like it's just crazy. Like it's just so expensive because they can charge this kind of prices. Because these people, they aren't paying from like entire savings. They just go out, they get these loans, and we as so it's just bad idea. I mean,
generally, I think we are in like an amazing spots as like entrepreneurs, as like e-commerce entrepreneurs. Like we're not attached to a place. We're not, it's like so many like opportunities, in terms of what we can do. Like even compared like to retail, I think we have tremendous vehicle, to make like fucking amazing things.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a very big difference between other people who have to work in a single job, a single boss. Like what if they don't like you? Like I know people, because when the oil prices went down, like so many people were just they lost their job, and they have a car loan and like a house mortgage, and everything goes down. So like you see, in my profession, people usually make some money. They usually make like 6 figures, like maybe 15,000 a month, like 10,000 per month. So I mean, in my profession, people make money. They go out, they get like a fancy house, and then when the oil prices like so they go down, they have no job, and everything goes under. Like they completely fuck up their car, entire loan, like entire house loan goes down. So I'm just super cautious with that kind of stuff. Like I don't want to spend money on some useless on useless stuff.
That's awesome, man.
I hate useless stuff.
Lots of great insight, man, and I'm so happy for you. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you very much.
Into like 7 figures, then 8 figures. Thank you for like watching the training, applying it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for everything, man. From your side, you executed on it. So
I thank you, because it wasn't for you, this would have never happened. It's all your course, like all these videos you put, like I mean, they're super helpful. Like I owe you huge thanks, because this would have been it would be impossible for me, because I had no experience with this stuff before. It was only because of these videos and everything.
You learn fast. I mean, that's awesome.
Engineering background definitely helps a little bit.
Like fucking, I think more than half of fucking like billionaires have the engineering fucking background or something.
I don't know.
Like Google it, fucking Google it. It's type of thinking. Once you get something, you fucking get it. Like you reverse engineer, and then you start fucking printing money. Cool. Man, so good to connect with you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you for watching. If you want a final template, so you also like just fucking apply it, please. Find in the comments, and I'll share it with you. And I'll see you in the next video. Connect, and you hit like 7 figures and 8 figures, and
we'll there. All right, thank you very much. Bye, guys.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.